In this video, I'm going to show you how to convert between units of length in the customary measurement system. Specifically, we're going to look at converting between inches, feet, and yards. Because the customary measurement system is not based on any one particular number, we have to memorize conversion factors between each of our units. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to list equivalences between inches, feet, and yards. If you look at this diagram, you can see that a yard is equal to 3 feet, and 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. So therefore, 1 yard is equal to 36 inches. You should also notice that a yard is the largest of these 3 units, and an inch is the smallest of these units. So let's look at some examples of conversions. Problem number 1 says 147 inches is how many feet, and that's equal to how many yards. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this and I'm going to say, okay, I have 147 of these small inches. I'm trying to figure out how many feet that is equal to. Well, it takes 12 inches to make 1 foot. So I can take my 147 inches and subtract 12 of them and exchange it for a foot, and then subtract 12 of them and exchange it for a foot, and keep doing that over and over and over again. Or I can do the faster version of that, which is division. So I can divide by 12, and I get, let's see, 12 feet with 3 inches left over. I can write that as a fraction as 12 and 3/12 feet. Now, if I want to know how many yards this is, I'm still going to take my 147 inches, but at this time it takes 36 inches to make 1 complete yard. 36 inches right here in exchange for 1 yard. So instead of dividing by 12, I'm going to divide by 36. And this is where you're going to have to do some side math here. I'm going to approximate and say this is probably about 4. So I'm going to test what is 36 times 4. That's 144. So it looks like it's going to be 4 yards, and then I have 3 inches left over. So I have 4 and 3 inches out of 36 that it takes to make yards, so 4 and 3, 36 of a yard. In question 2, it says 8 yards is how many feet, and that's also equal to how many inches. So I have 8 of these big, long yellow bars right here, these yardsticks right here, and I want to know how many feet is that equal to. Well, 1 of these yards is equal to 3 feet, so 8 of the yards is going to equal 8 groups of 3. So 8 groups of 3 is equal to 8 times 3, which is 24 feet. To find out how many inches that is, I now need to take my 24 feet, and there are 12 inches in every single foot. So I have 24 groups of 12. So I'm going to take 24 and I'm going to multiply it by 12. 4 times 2 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. And then I have a 4 and a 2, so it looks like I have 288 inches. Problem 3 says 27 feet is how many yards. So I have 27 of these feet, and I'm trying to figure out how many of these yards I can make from 27 feet. It takes 3 feet to make 1 yard, so I'm going to take my 27 feet, and I'm going to divide them into groups of 3, because I can exchange 3 feet for 1 yard. 27 divided by 3 equals 9 yards. And the last question says 50 feet is how many inches? So I have 50 of these feet. Each foot has 12 inches inside of it. So I need to take my 50 feet. Each of them will have 12 inches inside of them. So I have 50 groups of 12. So I have 2 times 0 is 0. 5 times 2 is 10. 1 times 0 is 0. And 1 times 5 is 5. So I have equal to 600 inches. A word of advice when converting between inches, feet, and yards. The most common mistakes that I see is not using the wrong conversion factor. Instead, it's dividing when you should multiply or multiplying when you should divide. So my suggestion is that before you even begin working out the problem, think to yourself, should your answer be larger or should it be smaller than the unit that you're starting with? So for example, in the question that we just did, 50 feet, if I'm trying to exchange 50 feet for inches, inches are smaller units than feet. It takes quite a few inches to make a foot. So 50 feet should be more than 50 inches. If you ask yourself those questions inside your head when you're doing conversions, you won't make mistakes where you have kind of silly answers where you're saying that 50 feet is equal to something like 4 inches.